They're guys. They do magic. They are the Magic Guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 204 of the Magic Guys, the 200th century of the podcast. To my left, we've got Nick K.
Welcome to Magic Guys Live.
I love it. Doug Kahn, as you know, we talked about in the last episode that we were on, not last week, the week before. Doug has moved to Las Vegas, which is insane. He's living the dream and he's still setting up. So he might be tuning in at some point to the episode, but we just wish him well. And we've been seeing some sneak peeks, Nick and I, of his setup and what he has to work with now with this new magic store he's collaborating with, and bloody hell, he's got all the toys. So it's pretty exciting. And Nick, great work, by the way. I heard such good things about the Magic Discord jam that you guys did last week when we couldn't do an episode. How was that, jamming with all the fellow Magic guys?
It was unexpectedly awesome. Like the amount of fun it ended up going for over 3 hours of just wildness. For me, I mean, I love catching up with all our friends who come and listen to us live, hanging out with Bob. Bob Possible, for you don't know, he's just one of the greatest minds to bounce off. I love chatting to him. I love being able to call him a friend, along with everyone else that was there. We actually worked on like full routines with some people. The funniest thing was that like every time it was about time to wrap up, somebody else would show up. They're like, I just saw you guys were here. I thought I'd pop in. And then a whole conversation would start. And then a whole conversation would start. We did a lot of stuff with tarot cards just because we were jamming, and that's what happened. It was really awesome. And they said, we got to do this frequently or often. And I'm like, I got to figure out a way to make that happen. So I don't know if we team up with what we do at on Doug's channel, where after the pod, we have a session there or something, but it was totally freestyled and totally fun. Thank you all who came to participate. It was really fun.
Wow. Who would have thought that magicians love jamming and learning magic?
Weird.
Yeah, holy moly. Well, yeah, I mean, it's been a great week. As you know, we didn't do the episode last week because I was nervously preparing for Teller to join us at the Theater of Magic. And so I was like, I should probably use that day just to, polish off the things that I'm going to try and tweak and tailor for the show. But we'll get to that later. We saw a video come out. I think the whole magic world saw the video come out, and it was by Chris Ramsay. And the title I thought was going to be clickbait. Did you think that too, Nick? You're like,
I half thought it, but he hasn't posted anything magic orientated in so long. Like, I don't dig his whole puzzle game thing going on that he has. I've sort of shied away from his content as a result. And then when I saw that it was something finally to do with magic, I was intrigued, and I watched the video, and what unfolded could very much change a lot of things for a lot of creative magicians.
FISM is what we're talking about, my friends. Now, we all know FISM as the Magic Olympics, and it was interesting to hear his stats about how the attendance each time now it's being ran every 3 years is slowly declining. And it's fascinating because
so just for reference to fully educate you guys on this, for those of you who haven't watched the video, we'll synopsize a couple of key points into it. What basically he identified as things are going on is the attendance at FISM, typically known as the Olympics of Magic. The attendance is going down, and atop of that, the age of the attendees is going up, kind of showing that there's a generational gap, and the younger folks don't have the ability or just aren't coming to things like this. And I think if we were to discuss this, man, we sort of got to be real about it and just take a moment and say, how easy is it for young people to afford to do anything is the first thing. If you and I were going to go to Turin in Italy to be part of FISM, what would we have to budget out of Australian dollars for our audience? It would be flights and a plus to actually pay for FISM. You'd want to have 10 grand on you to ensure you could have a good time and not stress about money or getting a meal or buying Juan Tamariz a beer or something of that nature. Like, what opportunities do young people have to do that?
Not much.
You know? No.
And also, there's something to be said about the young generation of Magic even thinking of putting together a Magic act to perform on stage. That, you know, these days, this is something I asked Teller as well. I was like, do you think this next generation can have a top magician that we all look up to, like Penn Teller, like David Copperfield, like Dynamo? Because everyone's attention is so spread out, and it seems to be, if you're good at social media, then you're good at getting the attention, but that doesn't necessarily marry up with you being a super skilled magician. It just means you've found a way to entertain people, but maybe it's not with, like, you know, the best magic in the world. So if people are watching this new variation of magic online, and they're probably learning a lot of close-up magic, I'm noticing, where is the motivation for them to see someone like a FISM act and go, oh, I want to do that too?
That's a really good point. And I think that the motivation for the online component now that we're bringing up, for those of you that don't know, FISM has multiple categories in which you can perform in. There is like close-up, there's micro magic, there's all facets of them. Probably too many to mention right here, and not enough that I would know off the top of my head, in truth. But one of the most interesting ones now is that there is going to be an online category with some potential to expand upon that even more. Now, here's what we do know about the online category, and I'm reading this directly from the FISMItaly2025.com website. So let's just get our heads around this so we can understand what's going on. So firstly, it's the participation requirements. So participants must submit a video, preferably in a vertical format, with a duration of 1 minute 30 seconds. The video can be filmed either in public or private setting. No digital post-production editing. Every other trick is allowed. So I think that's pretty fair. So what I'm taking away from that line is that you could do like a forced perspective. You can do like a black art type thing. You could do camera tricks in a sense, but I don't imagine you can do digital, blue, background,
like green screen,
none of that type of stuff.
No masking, no masking effects. The way in Chris's video, and you should go and watch that video too. He says no camera tricks and no like CGI editing, basically. Basically, it has to be something you could sit an iPhone in front of you and just do and post. Like, you can make it more cinematic than that, but that's essentially, it has to be a raw kind of.
It says here that teasers or promotional videos are not accepted. Participants might be asked to submit a separate explanation video detailing the method used. This is required to verify that no video special effects have been used. This video is strictly for the judges and will not be available to the public. To submit a video, you fill in an application and you pay 20 euros as the fee. If the video includes music, the participant must hold all necessary rights on social media and worldwide. In the case of a copyright dispute, the participant will be disqualified. So I guess if you're going to use music, make sure, like, you probably use something like Epidemic. Is it called Epidemic Sound? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Any copyright-free licensing place. Yeah, Epidemic Sounds is a great example.
But you make sure you purchase the subscription and have a license like we do for our stuff. So
yeah. Or have maybe just get like an instrument track playing. Like, you could record someone playing the violin, for example, an a cappella, and then you craft your routine around that. Or just don't have music. That might be a safe bet as well. But yeah, anything like Epidemic Sounds or Artlist or any, copyright free.
Yeah.
So it's exciting because now everyone, this might be the first time that like anyone can enter their routine at FISM. Like, FISM's usually a pretty, secretive club in a sense. Like, I wouldn't, like, if I came up with a routine, I personally wouldn't know where the hell to put it or show it for it to be considered, Yeah. But in this sense, like, everyone can enter for a small fee.
Yeah,
It's
well, I think,
exciting.
yeah, well, it's probably just a minor fee to get experts to review it. So, for example, it says here that with the pre-selection details that submitted videos will be periodically published on the official platform. So, I guess that we'll see these FISM acts prior to the
Oh.
actual, which I find very interesting. Non-compliant videos may be blocked, which is due to the discretion of the judging panel. The video that receives the most likes on social media will earn a wild card and automatically qualify as a finalist. That's interesting because I guess that, yeah, and I guess there's something fair about that because it's the I don't know, like how do you feel about that? Like it just means if you're super popular, you have like 3 million followers as a magician, that you just go, please like this so I can get a wild card. Hopefully it's good, but I guess the judges. This is why we have judges, I suppose, as well. Hey.
Yeah, I can see two things happening with that. One is that will help drum up more attention to FISM because if it's someone that just so happens to have 10 million followers, so therefore they get the most likes, what they're doing is showing FISM to 10 million people. Like that's the benefit of that happening. And then like you said, that just means they get through to the judges and then the judges are still going to just pick the best one anyway.
Yeah. Well,
so who do you think off the top of your head would be a contender for what is essentially online magician of the year is what the award would be?
Wow.
There's a few, like what are some names that come to mind? And in the chat as well, like people that come to mind is Jackie Yu. Like I saw him put out a video about this now.
Well, I think he might be a judge, no?
If he's a judge, that makes sense as well. They did put up in Chris's video, I'll see if I can just find the visual of it, but there was a line of judges. I know Dynamo's in there. I know Tom Elderfield is in there, and obviously Chris Ramsay as well. I can't remember if Jackie's in there, then that makes perfect sense. But
but the first person that comes to mind is somebody like Xavier Mortimer, because he does pretty gnarly effects in that 90-second gap. I also personally really enjoy like Chris Holcomb stuff.
Oh, sorry to cut you off there, Nick. Okay, I found the list, and you are right. Jackie Yu is a judge. So here are the judges: Chris Ramsay, Xavier Mortimer. You called it.
Oh, there you go.
E. Katerina, controversial. Tom Elderfield, Patrick Kuhn, Jackie Yu, and Dynamo. And by the way, the reason why I say Ekaterina is controversial is not because she's a female judge or any of that nonsense people might think. It's because for a lot of people that know, Ekaterina has become very, very popular on social media, but a lot of the content she's been posting has been revealing magic tricks. Like she essentially has an e-learn social media, and she puts up these 1-minute clips of here's a thing you can learn, and a lot of it was revealing magic, which is interesting that should be a part of FISM. Anyway, I mean that the same could be said with Chris Ramsay, so who knows? It's all at the end of the day, it's still good for magic, this whole setup.
Okay, well, it says here, with regards to the videos, that the top 20 videos, including the wildcard winner, will be selected by mid-April for the FISM WCM 2025 Online Magic, okay, which is a demonstration category, which is what they do when a category is new. It's called a demonstration category, okay?
Yeah.
As far as the timeline goes, the video submissions are open right now as of February 1st. It is happening. On April 1st is when the deadline is for your video submissions. And then by mid-April, there'll be a selection of 20 finalists.
And the good thing is, this could be a video you have already made in the past. Like, as long as you're not promoting yourself or you've got your website in the video or whatever, I believe from what I saw, like, it doesn't have to be like you saying, this is my FISM 2025, blah, blah, blah. Like if you've made an awesome piece of artwork in video form that fits the requirements, it could be submitted. And the reason I say that is because, holy crap, there's only 2 months until they start considering these videos that people are entering.
Yeah.
So in the chat, we've got, okay, so the obvious, a few people are mentioning our boy Jason. If Jason Ma doesn't submit a video, then what the hell is going on? We also have our boy from the UK, whose name is
Our boy, the one that we interviewed just recently.
Nope. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Well, Rick Holcomb
Almost won
is
Britain's
a
Got
favorite of
Talent.
mine. I think he's got an amazing skill set. Sam Osborne.
Sam Osborne as well. He should definitely submit one. Oh my God, I'm having the worst brain blank of my life. But the guys listening to this know who I'm talking about, so I'm sure they will. Thank you, Jack Rhodes.
Jack Rhodes.
Oh my word. If anyone can make amazing magic on video, it's Jack Rhodes. Scotty P says Jess Eisenberg, his snap change. Well, he definitely did popularize the snap change in Now You See Me, but Doug Conn. If Doug Conn doesn't put up a video, I don't know what's going on. And Nick, maybe is this the perfect place to showcase your Lego routine? Is this a good reason to finish that routine and showcase that in video? Or
possibly, but I am actually absent for the entire month of February, and by the time I get back into the country and into Magic, we'll see. We'll see. I don't see. Yeah.
So you're not worried about entering this category, is what you're saying?
I just don't consider myself a competition magician. I don't think that's how I'm made. I think I'm a different type of magician. I think the competition magicians are very unique and special, and I don't consider myself that. I consider myself more of the entertaining realm versus a competition realm. The competition realm is something that's very hyper focused. It's kind of like building a Formula One car. It doesn't matter that there's no glove box or heated seats or cruise control. It's built for one thing: winning competitions. And I think that routines need to be structured the same way. I just don't create that way.
Sure. Or you could listen to Scotty P's recommendation and expand your KFC nugget routine to a full KC family feast. That's an interesting production of a routine. That would really go well with the bogans of Australia. The never-ending KFC bucket. So the other interesting thing that they put out is I think Nick was mentioning, they're going to also test these other categories that won't officially get an award this time, but these other online things they're considering is awards like Best Online Magic Magazine, Best Magic Newsletter, Best Magician Communication Platform, Online Magician of the Year, which is the one they are doing, Breakout Online Magician of the Year, and Best Magic Podcaster / Vlogger. Which is very funny because Nick and I were just talking beforehand. Imagine if we've spent our whole lives learning magic and performing and doing our craft, and then it's this podcast that wins us a FISM award. That would just be so poetic. We're all just misfits and running around just, we just hope this helps some people. But there are other magic podcasts that have been around longer, but that would just be such a funny thing if we happen to get any notoriety from the podcast thing. That's so funny.
Yeah. And we're not the self-proclaimed best one. We just what you guys tell us that you guys enjoy it, and that's why we do it. But
yeah,
the weirdest thing is that the voting process. Now I'm trying to gauge how this all kind of works, right? Because I believe that they when do they show the videos? Are they showing them beforehand? Because I think they actually show it during FISM. Is when you can see the videos.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to gauge whether it's done before, because that means that it would be done in July if that's the case. Between July 14 and 19 is when that would go down. And then it says here with regards to voting that during FISM, the 20 selected videos will be shown at key moments throughout the event. And the attendees will have the opportunity to vote for their favorite video through an official app. Right. The audience vote will be considered alongside judges' evaluations, which follow the official FISM grading scale. I did look up what the online point scoring system is. Problem is, on the website, it's a dead link. Like when you try to click on the button to see what the judging criteria is, the link doesn't go anywhere. So maybe so because it's only with today being February 4th that they're still sort of nutting it out. Just keep your eyes glued to the screen, if you will, and check out the link every now and again. Maybe it will rectify itself so that you can better do that. And then it basically goes on to explain like the award ceremonies and awards, which is kind of redundant at this point, but it's exciting, right?
It's a movement in Magic that's hasn't happened before in FISM. So it'll be exciting. It'll be a great way to capture the next generation's attention and keep that age of attendance at a nice level, not slowly getting older and older because no one new is coming. So it's all good stuff. And we'll stay tuned. We'll keep you updated on the latest on that. Now, did you have a last thought?
I was just wondering, do you think that as technology evolves, like, do you think there was a point where magicians were like, we shouldn't be doing this in the movies, like we shouldn't be doing this on film? Do you reckon there was ever any pushback? And do you think there's some people like, oh, magic shouldn't be done online, it should be done in person? Like, there were some people, those, let's say, purists, respectfully, to that extent, where it's like magic should only be done in person, it should be done live.
Like, that's the age-old question, isn't it?
Like, I wonder how much pushback happened throughout the evolving technological advances we've made. I wonder how many went like, we should be doing this on video and we shouldn't be doing this on.
Look, if I had Thor's glove and I could just snap my fingers and just erase all
Thanos.
What did I say?
Thor. He has a hammer.
Holy shit! That's funny. I really am a magic nerd. I don't even know my Marvel proper references. So if I had Thanos's glove and I could just snap my finger and erase all magic online, would I do it? The answer is probably yes, because it is it's so beautiful in real life. It can be entertaining online, but it hits so hard in real life. So yeah, I probably would. But now that we're in this world, I don't hate it. It certainly has helped introduce me to people, and people love and watch and tune into my work that haven't seen me perform live yet, that may end up seeing me perform live because they see my video. So there's good and bad things, but we're in this world now.
Well, there's two interesting comments here that just came through. One from Liam Gordis, which says that I feel that happened in every industry when it comes to technology, especially creative industries. And I think that's a very good point. In fact, if you look at something like a horror movie, I think that is where movie magic is at its best, because they're, using fake legs and fake blood and fake things. And, the whole movie magic realm is most prominent in that genre. But then on the other side of that, Scotty P makes an interesting comment saying that I've stopped doing magic on video because performing live is more rewarding for myself. And that I can totally appreciate. Like if you were in a band and all you ever did was record studio albums, like I was, bam, 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 versus playing live is like the greatest, man. Like when you've got people there, like cheering you on and clapping along to your songs, just the same as clapping along to your routines and so forth, and going, this is the greatest thing ever. I watch this stuff on TV and this is so much better. Those types of things are interesting. So
it is.
It's bias is what we're getting at. It's bias. Some people prefer it for whatever else. Some people just want to create it, and that's cool too, right?
Yeah. I will say, magicians working with an online platform are getting very creative now, where it really is a place where you can perform a different genre of magic that can be enjoyed, that can't be enjoyed live. I think that's when magic online is good, is when you can actually give someone an experience that they couldn't see live. so that they're still separate. Like seeing magic live is amazing, and it's different to this thing. I think like Brian Saint did a great job at that, for example. Like he showed us in his interview on our show, he even showed us a routine that only looks good on Zoom. And it was like when he's explaining like, I've got this Rubik's Cube and, if I do this, put my hand away from the camera and come back, you probably think there's someone to the side quickly giving me a solved cube. And he's like, but if I did it right in the open and just collapsed my hands and now the cube is gone, well, that's magic. And he explained that whole thing, like that only works because of this framing and this angle and, so there's and Adam Axford, another great guy. He created some wonderful routines for Zoom, like just that you couldn't do live. And so I think that's where it becomes kind of fun when you can play with it, but it'll never take away from the actual real experience you get when it's like right in front of you in person. But speaking of in person.
Well, I was going to say, before you step onto this thing, man, like this is kind of an important thing to be talking about because it's the equivalent of sort of watching a movie and then seeing the like a film adaptation, so like of a play. So right at the moment, like as it stands here on Feb 4th, 2025, Wicked is now a movie, but it was an adaptation of an amazing play, and quite the other way around. There is now a stage adaptation of the Back to the Future movie, and it's now going to plays. So I just think that there isn't particularly one better than the other, but it's just different mediums. And I think that's kind of important to understand, you can like, there shouldn't be a definitive, there should be like I've seen this on YouTube, but I much prefer sitting at the Theatre of Magic in Brisbane, right up as a Josh Nabita, where I can smell him and, see him do some awesome stack deck work.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, some people in the comments on YouTube have specifically said, that's it. I'm going to make it a trip to visit Australia and come and see your show live. Yeah. So that wouldn't have happened had I not put out those clips. But
yeah. And some people don't get it. I once had a friend go, so you have the musical like album like on your phone? I'm like, yes. He goes, then why go see the play? And I was just like, bro, have you been to a musical? He's like, no. And I'm like, then why are you opening your mouth? Right. You idiot. It's like saying you listen to the band on the CD. Yes. Then why go see them live? You've already heard them. Like, it's just a different experience. I dropped $400 on tickets to go see The Offspring in May, right? Like The Offspring, nothing entirely amazing, but to me they are. And experiencing that show live, it's a spectacle. It's awesome. So,
and you're seeing the artist like do the thing that you love, but now you're in that atmosphere and you're seeing it live, and it's real and it's raw.
Well, let me make this example. Yeah. Fool Us, right? And all the Penn and Teller stuff that we've seen. Okay, great, entertaining stuff, really enjoyable. I enjoyed that on YouTube or whatever format I watched it on. Then going and seeing it live last week. Bro, the Penn and Teller show. Moving along, let's talk about the Penn and Teller show.
Yes. All right.
Far out, dude. What a show.
The quick premise, Penn and Teller are touring Australia. They were in Melbourne first, then Brisbane. So Nick experienced them and hung out with Teller. And then I had them in our city. We hosted them, saw their show, and now we can compare notes now that I've finally seen the show as well. Yeah, where do we start? I mean, you brought it up. This is not their like Vegas show. This is not like the classics of Penn and Teller because it's their 50th anniversary. Surprisingly, after performing for 50 years, this is all like new material.
Yeah, it is all brand new material, but for the opening routine, which is that traditional cutting of the giant silk, which I don't recall the exact name of that routine, but it's a beautiful piece and it really celebrates Teller as well, which I think is... It's a perfect tone setter for the routines that they perform therein. Dude, I saw the show. I saw the show in Vegas and right alongside Morten Christensen and Javier Benitez and a whole bunch of other guys. And this show slayed that one. Like, it is phenomenal how good it is. And the fact that it's all brand new, crazy. But look, as far as like, look, and here's the thing about the position that we're in and the friendships we've set up with awesome people like Teller. So while they were in Melbourne, we put on a little night for them where I went and picked up Teller from his accommodation. We went to Tim Ellis's Laneway Theatre, which we've spoken about in his episode. If you look up Tim Ellis, you'll hear all about that beautiful theater of his. He came. Penn also joined us a little bit later in the evening. We had a lovely meal prior. Everyone got to hang out and have a chat, and we all got Christmas cards from him as a gift. And then 13 magicians performed 5-minute sets, which was really great because I got to perform a piece of magic that I actually jammed with him at a bar some years before in his previous tour. And it was just this one thing that I didn't like about this particular production I was doing. And I said, "What are your thoughts?" He goes, "It's fine." I go, "It's not. And here's why." And then he was like, "I could see it, but I'm going to think about it." Anyway, as time went on, I just got on. I was the first performer that evening and to set the tone. And I just said, "This is a routine that you and I worked on, Teller, at that bar." And he was like, "I remember that." And I'm like, "Great. Well, here's how far it's come." And he said a lot of nice things about the routine on the drive home because I dropped him back off. And, he said it was astonishing. And then kindly said, "You sleeve better than anyone because your technique is just like, I know you're doing it, but I can't see it." And I was like, "Thank you." So in between that, super lovely. Well, he did his shows. He made time for the magic scene. He would hang out after his shows, come have dinner with us almost every night. It's so lovely. I actually sent him a lovely thank you note email to say, every time you come and visit, it's wonderful because you inspire everyone so much and it binds us all together. Like, all the magicians get together in one place to see and celebrate you, like you really help solidify what we are as a community. And I just extended a big thank you to him, to which he said some niceties back and so forth. And I think that is kind of nice in itself. And it's also a reminder that it shouldn't take a superstar, a master Jedi of our art form to bring us all together. We should be extending the hand of friendship to everyone else around us, So yeah, almost immediately the week after, I had a big dinner at my place, invited a bunch of people over, partly because I was not healthy enough to perform that weekend due to a bad back, but that's a different story altogether. But erroneous of that, like, any chance to bring us together should be a good one, I think. So that was great. But then saw the show. I don't know how much we could talk about the show without spoiling it for anyone who's yet to see it. For example, there's still shows going on your side of the planet in the meantime. But why don't you tell us, Josh, about what the experience was like when Teller came to visit the Theatre of Magic, and what is it like to perform for him from your perspective?
We found out, I feel like Chris and Nigel probably knew a little bit earlier than me, but I think I was informed like 10 days, maybe a week. It really was not long. It was like, I feel it was like about a week. And they're like, "Hey, in a week, how do you feel like doing a Theatre of Magic show on a Tuesday, like next week?" And I'm like, "That's weird." And they're like, "Yeah, Penn and Teller are going to be in town, and they want to see magic while they're here, like on their night off before they start their 10-show run." And I'm like, "Holy crap!" We had a discussion to see, because there's 3 of us in the Theatre of Magic, and we all want to be a part of it. But so that there was a good variety, we agreed I would do the close-up show. Being in that, I do a lot of technical stuff. Out of the 3 of us, Chris would host with his, he's such good ad-lib skills and talking skills. And he would do routines on either side to introduce us. And then the amazing Nigel would do his comedy stage show, which is just always hilarious to watch.
World class. Just great.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Because I knew that he had gone to Melbourne and he had seen magic in Melbourne, and I knew he had seen Nick, like I had an idea of like, some pretty amazing magic he would have just watched. So I was in a funny position where I knew I couldn't just do my normal magic because there's a good chance he just saw most of it like, a week ago. So I was in like a really funny spot. And the only thing I could do in my head was like, okay, don't worry about trying to like, do the best, ambitious Carter 3 fly or whatever. Right. Let's just make it a show in a way that like he'll enjoy because there's some funny jokes and premises and stuff that like he will appreciate. So that's the angle I went for. And for every routine I did, I had some kind of like magician code joke layered into it so that it was like, I know you know what's going on, but like, let me tell you some stuff that the rest of the audience doesn't know that's going on. That's how I kind of played it. And so, but that does not help with the nerves because whenever you do something new in a show, it's nerve-wracking anyway. But knowing you're doing a few little bits that are new and, one of the goats of magic is in the audience really does a number on you. So I was pretty nervous. Like, I'll be honest, I was like, I do not get nervous doing magic, but this is the time I was like, I had to like control my breathing and stuff like before the show, like earlier in the night. But fortunately, Teller joined us for dinner first. So that let me get out my awkwardness and nerves and everything before the show. I'm so thankful we had dinner before the show because I could just be weird and awkward then and then, be cool, calm and collected.
So you like magic?
Yeah.
Magic's pretty cool. Yeah, that's fine.
Exactly.
Well, Penn's pretty tall, huh?
Yeah, he's taller than I am. Yeah.
And
so you speak when you hang out? Yes. I don't speak when I'm performing magic.
Oh, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. Exactly that. So you could get all that weird stuff out of the way. And then what happened was when he came in, so we didn't tell anyone why the special occasion of a Tuesday show was. So everyone in the audience were people who had been to our shows before.
Right.
So they're all sitting there, and then Teller is the last person to be brought in, and he's right at the front. So all of a sudden, everyone's here ready to enjoy magic, and they look over and they see like the headliner of QPAC with all these sold out shows just walk past them and sit down, and everyone is freaking out. Like this one lady's like verbally just like, oh my God, gets out her phone, is like filming him walking to his seat. And so we had to like calm everyone down for, like 10 seconds and be like, all right, so we're going to do this show now. The last thing I'll say is one of the routines, I don't know if there's a way I can frame this in video because I filmed my set, obviously, with Teller watching. Right. I wanted to do a routine talking about how Australians shorten their words. Like we abbreviate everything. A U-turn is what we call a Yui. A service station is we call a servo. A sandwich is a sanger. And I wanted to have this funny play on words with Nutella. So I got a little sandwich portable pack of Nutella, a little spread, which is a chocolate hazelnut spread we put on our sandwich. And I said all those other examples, and then I brought out the Nutella, and I'm like, as a kid, we don't call this Nutella. We say, Mum, can I have some Teller on my sandwich? That gets a laugh. And then I say, and it's always been my dream to perform a routine with Teller on stage, and tonight that becomes a reality. And it gets this applause because everyone knows I'm talking about Teller, but I'm directing my attention to this. And then I say, who else is a fan of Teller as I'm opening up the Teller spread? Everyone puts their hands up. And then my favorite line that I'm so glad Teller laughed at quite a lot too, because he knows it's true. I was like, all right, and you don't need a lot of Teller because Teller is very rich. And I keep going with the routine. And everyone just laughs so hard because it's like, yeah, this is an awkward moment. We have this goat of magic. He's so successful. And he even, I will say, Teller even did like a rich person's laugh. He was like, yeah, like that kind of a laugh. It's so funny. I'll see if there's a way I can edit it to make it interesting to watch other than me just saying a joke. But yeah, it was pretty cool. He had really nice things to say afterwards as well. Like, you know, I keep some to me because I feel like he says nice things to a lot of people, but particularly about my sleight of hand, he was like really impressed, and he shared his coin production work with me as well. He said he doesn't do it too much anymore. Yeah, the Teller snatch and things that he doesn't do now because of his arthritis. But it was just so cool to spend that time. And he was, he's the best. He took selfies with every single person that was at that Theatre of Magic that night. And and then I went and saw the show, which we'll talk about experience without exposing any tricks. I went and saw the show, and then after the show, I walked him back to his hotel, and we went up and chatted in his apartment for like half an hour about magic ideas and all that kind of stuff. And I think Nigel is about to have that experience tonight to see the show and then probably have dinner with him or something afterwards.
It is. I was reminded of something when you said that, like, when you just see this like awesome headliner just walk past you and just freak everyone out. We took him to the hot springs here, and we went and did like cold plunges and spas and like all these sort of sauna based things, and he was up for it the whole time. Like, he's just such a trooper. And it was really funny because I got this one photo. I've never posted it. It's just one of my little personal. I'm just going to share it only here on the Magic Guys podcast YouTube channel. I will not share this anywhere else, but there is this awesome photograph of just all of us sitting in
That's so funny.
Hot tubs. There's me, there's an amazing card magician called Chianio, and just Teller, and we're just sitting in these buckets, just like these hot buckets. But
that's funny.
Now, Gutbuster Mike was talking about the Teller snatch, and it's effectively the way that he produces the coins for the miser's routine with the goldfish. So that's what that move is, where he reaches into thin air and just snaps. And it's the handling on that.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah. Pretty awesome. So the thing that I'll mention about the show, which I was super surprised about, is how in the moment Penn is. Like, I thought, you've done these shows for 50 years, you're just going to be reciting patter and going through the motions. But he's so in the moment that he's coming up with all this great comedy material in real time that's byplay with the audience. And the thing that was impressive too is he's recalling every person's name that's helped out throughout the show.
Yeah.
Even towards the end, he's thanking the people that helped out with at the very start, and this guy, and you think he's probably a plant because he doesn't even speak English well, and all this kind of stuff was really impressive. That really shows you that, okay, they're here in this theater with us right now.
Yeah. And full credit to Penn. For those of you that haven't seen the show yet, he's on stage the entire time for the whole 2.5 hours, however the show, like long the show was.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours.
Yeah. Like, ordinarily it's like Penn goes away, Teller does a routine by himself in dead silence with no music or anything like that. He might do the rose shadows routine. He might do his red bowl or whatever else. Nah, man. Like, Penn is there from start to finish, mouthing off the whole time, and he is so engaging and so funny and so sharp. It's killer. Absolutely.
I was so surprised because I've always been a Teller fan and like accepted Penn as part of the routine, like he's always like delivering the presentation of why they're doing this stuff. But today I was super entertained by Penn in his own right. And then Teller would come together and they do this amazing magic. Bloody hell. It was fun. And also the thing I noticed too is for every routine they did, they had a big, some kind of a backdrop, like something interesting to look at that filled up the stage. Did you notice that? Like, they always had these big, not canvases, but like a big backdrop-y kind of a thing that would play into the routine.
The set design was really good. There was a couple of like one of my personal favorite. There was an effect they do, which is like a gift shop, and they fully emulate it. And that was probably my favorite routine out of like the whole one of my favorites. Like, I mean, it's really hard to pull them apart. They're like milliseconds apart as far as like which one wins the race. But man, that routine with the trash cans and so forth, it was just so good, and it generally looks like the shop, like it looks like the gift shop, like where you buy your merchandise from. It was so well done.
I think we can tip off like the beginning of that, right? Because not the effect, but the gift shop stuff, right?
Yes.
Like the way he gets someone on stage is they're like, now we think it's terrible to pitch your merchandise during the show. And talk about the stuff you can buy after the show. We would never do that. So instead, we brought the merchandise on stage, and they open it up, and Teller's wearing all their merch. But they're like, now who here was planning to buy some merchandise after the show? And they pick someone up, and they're like, now what were you going to buy? And they say a shirt, and they're like, all right, you can buy it now. And they're like, get out your credit card, and the credit card is what they're going to use later in the routine. But they're like, now here's the funny part. This merchandise like checkout is real. And they taps the card, and they actually purchase a shirt on stage. And they're like, here you go, until he gives it to them in the bag. Like the poetic, like the artistry on that is just so funny, because it wouldn't be as funny if it wasn't really getting purchased.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Penn has this ability to like, Penn can talk for a solid 5 minutes straight without doing a single magic trick, and I am hooked on every word he says. Like, I don't know if you recall the bit. There's a bit in the show where, you know, you have to address that there's going to be stooges at some point, and it's like, and so what he does is this is like well towards the end of the show, and he says, who was involved in the show tonight? And then every person who was involved stands up. At this point, there's a dozen people. And he goes, that means that all you guys would have been stooges. Now, how many of you guys came with the people here? Because you would have to be involved as well, knowing that person's a stooge. And before you know it, 3/4 of the audience is standing up just through this whole rigmarole that he goes through. And if you think all these people are stooged, like, with everybody on payroll and benefits and this and this and that, like, we would not make a single dollar. Like, this is the dumbest thing you could think of. And then everyone sits down, and then he says, now, if you still think the way using stooges and you're a non-believer, stand up. And then like 20 people stand up, still not believing it. And he's like, these fucking idiots, you know?
Yeah.
And then he brings them all on stage and does a routine with them.
He brings every non-believer on stage that puts their hand up and does an effect with them.
Yeah.
And man, it's so funny.
So good and so entertaining. And that whole thing we just spoke about in 30 seconds, that's like a 6-7 minute process, but it is a laugh. It is impressive. You're listening, man. Like, it is really good. Like, it's a really good bit of kit.
Their justification for getting into routines is amazing. Like the crushing your dreams premise. I bloody love that. Like, yeah. There's just so many good things. Is what we're saying. Like, it's worth. Don't go and see it because you're like, oh yeah, I should go and see them because they're Penn and Teller. Like, no, this is like a really entertaining, funny ass show that has been really thought out, and it's just very funny to watch and great magic. But yeah, good times. It's inspiring.
It is. Now, here's the thing: after you watch a show like that, and after the people. After the trucks are gone and they're off to the next city, like, this is what you're yet to experience. Like, at what point are you kind of like, I got to do better, or I want to work harder, or I want to, you know, like.
Oh yeah, bro. Absolutely. Like,
right.
Absolutely. I mean, so for example, the piece that I like tailored for Teller to come and see the show. After that, I thought, why the hell aren't I doing that every week? Like, this stuff that I made for him to enjoy, like, I could be doing this stuff every week from moving forward, because it's still funny for anyone who is half in the know of magic. They're going to enjoy the heck out of the extra bits I've added. So even that, I was like, why the hell haven't I been tailoring my stuff more in general? But then, then seeing their show, you're like, God damn it. There's just so much room for you know, lifting up the stuff that I'm doing already. And I've been enjoying doing the theater of magic so much, but it definitely has made me go, okay, there is a show that I've been wanting to write as a one-man show for a stage, and now I'm like, yeah, this is
time.
I should definitely be doing this as well as the stuff I enjoy doing, but like, this is definitely needs to be done.
I can agree with you on that, because a lot of times when I think about what I do with myself, and the one sort of mantra I'm constantly telling myself, and it's very unhealthy. I actually been corrected on this, and I always tell myself, you can always do more. You can do more.
Right.
You could read more. You can run more. You can exercise more. You can study more. You could also rest more. You could also spend time with your family more. Like, I just believe you can do more. You can always do more, you know? And that's the type of thing. But what spins me out the most is that when you see these routines, these highly fooling routines, for those in the know, there's a routine using these balloons, as they have 3 people on stage, and they have this whole balloon process where all these balloons pop, and it's a phenomenal, really, really cool routine. And he's telling me it's based off a David Berglass idea. And I'm going, I do not remember reading that anywhere of Berglass's stuff. And he's like, oh, it's in this book. And I'm like, oh, you mean that book that only 200 were printed, and it's like $4,000 to get a copy of that book? You know, I was talking to a friend of mine, Bodane Hatton, yesterday, and we were talking about David P. Abbott, a famous magician from the US, who was the creator of the floating ball, as well as the talking tea kettle and a couple of others. I'm putting together a history lesson on him, so we'll get to that at some point. But getting this information is quite difficult, and that's because the story of his book was super difficult to find and actually make, and that is a story in itself. To get a copy of that book is 2,000 Aussie dollars. Like, that's what Bodane sold it for, $2,000. And Teller was one of the people who developed that book. You know, I think 400 copies of it went out or something like that. The one thing that I love more than anything from hanging out with Teller is I just want to consume books. I just want to devour books, and read and read and read. And I hate not reading magic. I can't. The TV doesn't entice me at all. Instagram doesn't entice me at all. None of it does. But you put any magic book in front of me, good or bad, and I just devour it. And I've never been a good reader my whole life. I'm not a bright kid. Never have been. But reading, like, you know, I was told a long time ago, it's like, no. Like, everyone knows how to read. You just haven't found the right books yet. Hand to God, magic books, I can devour them. I love reading magic books. But you give me anything else. You give me any sort of thing to do with fantasy, I'm like, ugh. Realms? Anything with realms? No. Realms. Jesus Christ. Nah, can't do it. But that's all that makes me want to do, because you just keep hearing these stories of, oh yeah, this is from like the 1800s, this trick, and then I just remade it, and no one knows the method because it's so old. That's what I'm inspired to do after watching something like that. So after you seeing the show, you want to do your own thing, and I just want to learn more.
100%. I have a cool name that I think I want to use for my show, but I won't say it now because the show's not actually a thing yet. So it'd be silly to drop a cool name that, you know, anyone could use, really. But definitely, yeah. It was also perfect too, because only a couple of weeks before Teller coming to Brisbane, Adam Shire came to Brisbane, the creator of Siri, and he had really good notes on magic as well, from a different perspective, from someone who's just seen so many magic shows. And he was particularly saying, like, you should know who your character is as a magician and use that to your advantage, and sort of like not limit the magic you do, but it should all like fit the character, like the magic you're doing, in his opinion. And he gave the classic example of The Illusionist, you know, being the most successful like theater magic ensemble show in the world, and it did so well because everyone was like a character, like, you know, the mischief, whatever, the escapist, the sleight of hand, you know. And so he watched my show and was like, he's like, you're so good at magic, and it comes across that you're so technically versed and stuff, but then all of a sudden you do this whimsical like drink prediction and it doesn't fit anything else you did. And so why did you do that routine? And so it was really good. So it made me like use these limits to make myself a bit more memorable to the audience and have them feel like they learnt more about me as a performer.
There's two things I'm taking away from that, and I think that it's giving you direction.
That's good. I could have summarized it with that. Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. And well, just for everyone out there that gives them direction, you know, like when you, and the direction is interesting because for me, it comes from something that Bizarro said in his lectures where he said creating with restriction. And I think that's a good place to be as well. When I give examples of this, I just like, if I just say vanish a coin, you're like, oh, you know, the list is this long. And then it's like, okay, vanish a coin with one hand. And then it's like half the list. And then it's like vanish it with one hand and then show both the front and back, you know, and then vanish it with one hand and have it entirely vanish, not to be found again ever and ever and ever. And you got to do it naked. Then all of a sudden there's like only one of three ways you can do that, you know?
Yeah.
And it's that type of thinking that whenever I'm creating, I have to do it this way. And I get stuck with stuff because if someone comes to me with my restrictions and the way that I want to do magic, if someone says something like, just do a X, just do a shuttle pass, just use a change bag. Nick K doesn't use change bags, right? Like it's just not my character. No. It's got to be smarter than that. It's got to be cooler than that. I have something that's been on my mind for a long, long time to distance myself with regards to this ringing bell effect that I'm doing. And well, I'm saying doing, I haven't done it public yet. I've done it once in public. I lie, but I'm trying to do it in such a way that like I don't go near the fucking thing at all. Like just and I'm adding extra layers of stuff. I'm putting it on a steel tray so that people don't think I can load it from the bottom. I'm doing all this different stuff because that's the Nick K level of magic that I want to do. So yeah, it's one of those things. But again, I just consume magic, get the ideas. Ben Hart's book, I don't love any of the effects. I don't want to do any of the effects, but I love the thinking behind it. And I love anything that provokes that. I was having coffees yesterday with my friend, Andy von Bibreiser, someone who's well-versed in mentalism here. And he was showing me these books. Orion is a dual book series. I forget who's written it, a Greek magician. But some of the thinking there is so genius. It's annoying. Like when it's so simple. Like he's so clever that your brain goes, why didn't I think of that? That's freaking genius and so clever and so simple. But you don't think of that. And so you need to consume stuff all the time just to know how it's done. Like, you know, it's if you were a chef, you'd be like, do I salt my meat before or after I cook it? Like there's just all these nuances that work for certain aspects, but consume it. And even William Fisher says here in our chat, he goes, I wish I was more like Nick in that aspect. I usually fall asleep within 10 to 20 minutes when reading, when you're consuming this type of thing. So highly caffeinated before cracking a magic book. There's nothing wrong with that. I go to bed reading books. And the good thing about that is even if you're only consuming 10, 20 minutes, you can digest it, think about it, and really process it, you know? Like those are really, really fun things to do. So, and then Mike's asking here, when you're churning through books, is it with props in hand? No, it's not. I just like to just read. More times than not, I like if it's really good and it's giving me methods, I read it, but then I stop reading and my mind goes off on a tangent and I start creating. So it takes me a long time to get through books as a result, but I still chew through them, you know?
I have a sorry,
go ahead. Go ahead. No,
I have a funny story, a gig story, I guess, to put a bow on today with in regards to Mike's question. Like, do you have the props in your hand when you're reading these books? So this is a gig story from 2 weeks ago. We're doing the Theatre of Magic, and I've just got my hands on Arzy Wynn's Repertoire 2 book. And I have the video of this show, but I don't want to put the video out because I think this routine's better just living in the books and in live performance and people not seeing it online. But there's essentially a routine in this book where you as the magician leave the room and you call the spectator on their phone or your phone, and you give them your phone, you take a spectator's other phone, you call them, and you instruct them what to do on stage, and you're not even in the room. And the premise is like the further I am away from the magic, the more impressive it is. So I leave the room and talk to this guy on the phone, and he's doing the magic in front of the audience. And it's super weird to hear the audience laughing and stuff on the phone because I can't hear it in real time. Anyway, this is the first time. So I practiced the routine, but it's still the first time I'm trying it. So I walk out of the performing room and I walk into our green room because I'm on the phone. So I like instructing him what to do. So I can be anywhere really. So I walk into our green room, which is only like, 30 meters away. And I pull out the book that I've been learning this trick from because I have it chapter marked. And I sit down in our green room on the phone in a live show and I crack it open and I just double check my work. And I'm literally reading the tutorial of the routine like while it's live being done. And
that's hilarious.
Just for the first time I'm ever doing it, because I'm like, I don't want to accidentally slip up, like, because it's quite finicky in because the outcome is incredible, but you just want to get the instructions right. And so, so I'm literally reading the book as it's being performed live in the next room. And that was fucking hilarious to me. And like, so then I hear the applause and stuff and I close the book. I'm like, great. I walk back in the room and continue with the show. And it was a great time.
That's like a live banana bandana. It really is.
Right. Yeah. With this, that's right. With the spectator doing it.
Yeah, but the spectator's doing a banana bandana, like it's totally flipped the script.
Yeah. Well, William Fisher's saying he's done that routine as well. It killed. Yeah. And again, it's books. Ozzy Wynn's repertoire too is a book. I think he only printed 1,000 copies. Damn if there's any left. But it's because that's where all the good stuff goes. And the beauty of it is it won't be a mainstream known thing because it's only if you went to that barrier of entry to read the book and interpret it and actually do it,
Yeah, absolutely. And for
crazy stuff.
Yeah. So right now I'm all about consuming theory, but we'll probably have to talk about that another time as our hour is up.
Crazy stuff.
Friends, thank you all for being here. Tim, William, Adonis, Gutbuster Mike, Scotty P, everyone else is here. Thomas Congo was there. I saw Scotty as well somewhere in our chat. Good to see you all, friends. Thank you for being here this week. We will be back next week. I may or may not be here. I'm going to be in Canada doing some snowboarding. But if it's if the weather permits and I'm kind of in my accommodation, I will jump on and join you, friends. But I don't know where I'm going to be, so I'm not going to make any promises yet. So thank you for joining us. You can scope out my socials, Nick K Magic on Instagram or my website, nickkmagic.com. And Josh DeVito.
Yeah, you can, all my stuff's below. And this is the Magic Guys, episode 204. See ya.
Thanks for listening. It's time for us to disappear now. But we'll see you again on the next episode of the Magic Guys.